Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Move with Ivan. And in today's episode, we are outside in beautiful Malaga, Spain. And I want to show you guys how you can use a passive and active mobility stretch to improve your hip range of motion through flexion. So you might have noticed that when you are performing squats in the gym, or if you're grabbing things off the floor, you might have felt stiffness in your hamstrings at the bottom range of the motion, and you can't properly finish the motion or complete the full ability to grab down, and so you might compensate using your back or other areas. So we want to focus on giving you things that you can add into your routine right away that might improve your ability to control your lower back while you are hip flexing and improving its range. So the first one I want to work on will be a passive hip mobility stretch that's going to work on the hamstrings. And so as I mentioned last week, if we're focusing on the hamstring group, we have to make sure that we're watching the joints above the hip and below the knee. So we have to place our back and our knee and ankle in the right position to isolate the stretch of the hamstrings. So keep that in mind for the first one and follow through here, guys. Okay, the first stretch we're going to work on for the hamstrings is a one leg standing hamstring in a passive position. All right, so follow along, guys, and we'll go from there. So you want to make sure your front foot, your front heel is in line with your back toe. Placing your hands on your hips, I find it makes it easier to know that you're bending at the hip joint versus your back. Okay. So bending your back leg, your back knee, because we're focusing on the front hamstring. I want to move forward at the hip joint as far as I can until I feel a stretch between my hip and my knee, somewhere along this part. And I want to hold here for 30 seconds. Trying to really feel a nice elongation in my hamstring group. Remember that if I want to go further, I don't want to go through the back or the ankle or the knee. So I don't want to do this to go further. I want to solely focus on the hips to do the work. So sitting back, all right, this is part two of the passive one. It's a slight additional change. It's going to be the exact same position. All you're going to do now is have a little bit of flexion in your knee. This is going to give you a little different effect on the hamstring group in a stretch. And maybe you felt it or didn't feel it before, and this one you hopefully will. So slight hip flexion, right, knee flexion right here, and always keep it the same way throughout the stretch. Keeping your back neutral. And your front foot flat on the floor. All right, so we're going to work on now is the active part of improving your hip range of motion through flexion. So now, since we're doing it actively, your quads are going to be asked to be worked really hard, and so they might cramp, and that's okay. If they do, just take a little break and go back to it. It's a kind of a reason for our brain to say, hey, don't go there, I don't know what it is. But we're trying to retrain our brain and tell our muscles that it's okay to go there. And with time, it will improve and get better. So when it does cramp, take a little break and get back to it. So the first one's gonna involve us sitting down. This one is gonna be an even easier progression because we have no wall support. And so if you do want to improve this one, get onto a wall with your back and it'll be that much more difficult. So for this one, we'll have just our hands, and we're going to focus on keeping our back straight, ankle and knee relaxed, and working only on our hip. All right, follow along. We're going to first work on repetitions. Okay, then go on to a hold. You want to have a harder progression sitting down, you can do no hands. All right, the fourth and final stretch of the day, we're going to work now on a progression from the sitting one into a standing active hip range of motion exercise. So for this one, it involves a lot more balance. So if you're having a hard time, maybe grab onto something to help with your balance. But the goal here is to really work on that active part of the hip. And your quads are going to be feeling it, that's for sure. So for this one, again, guys, keep your back straight. Keep the moving leg, the knee and the ankle relaxed. And focus solely on the hip. When you first go through the range, try to go as far as you can. Once you find it, that's when you start doing your repetitions and then your work to progress. All right, follow along. All right, guys, there you have it. Those are the 4 things I want you to try out. There's 2 passive and 2 active that you can work on to improve your hip range of motion through flexion. And if you notice that you have very stiff hamstrings. Again, guys, keep in mind what's happening with the joint above, the back, and the joints below, the ankle and your knee. Because we want to focus solely on what's happening with the hamstrings. So again, train smart. Think of what's happening, see how you feel. There is more information based on that. So don't just think that further is better. Think about doing it effectively and efficiently. And again, guys, you can do this anywhere. Add it into your routine before the workout, after the workout, during your sets. At home, it can be, there really is no excuses. 5-10 minutes a day. I'll add a small sample routine at the bottom in the description that you guys can follow along. And please comment, let me know how you guys felt. Did it improve your hip range of motion? Did your hamstrings feel a little better? Again, this is going to be a continuous fight, a continuous battle. So try adding this into your routine slowly and we'll go from there, okay? Ciao for now.